Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 28 of Jux and All Things Sports podcast. You got me, you got Train today, heading into the NFL draft tomorrow. A lot on the slate, general news. Big NFL draft weekend coming up. We had our mocks 2 weeks ago. We got NBA playoffs, we got NHL playoffs, and the Tigers are at least a little bit intriguing right now. But let's jump right into it. NFL draft, first round tomorrow night. Lions picking at 6 as it lands right now. A lot of talk around the number one pick Train. It was CJ Stroud, and then all of a sudden it's Bryce Young. And now Will Levis is making a push to number one, maybe number two. Thoughts on number one? Are you still sticking with CJ Stroud? Is it Bryce Young? Or is there any depth to these Will Levis Reddit board rumors?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of depth to these rumors. Will Levis, this Reddit post was Will Levis is currently at 4,000 to be the first overall pick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's telling friends and family Carolina will in fact take him on Thursday. You're welcome. That was anonymous. The guy or girl made the Reddit account 7 days before he posted that. Um, People are joking that Jamison Williams made the account on Reddit so the odds would change for Bryce Young because he's a gambler. We'll get into it. But I think, you know, the odds don't change just from plus 4,000 to 400 for no reason. I think it does make sense to kind of keep betting on Bryce Young, especially now that his odds probably went up a little bit, because he's still plus 400. It's not like a surefire deal. I think this does affect um, how the rest of the other teams perceive him. And maybe he goes a little bit higher than the Colts, and maybe someone moves up in front of the Colts to get him now. But I don't think the Panthers are actually going to take him. But it's more likely than I think we think.
And with that, and I'll jump into my take, but I want to get yours on this quick as well. Number two overall pick. We talked about it 2 weeks ago about some luster going away at the Texans even taking a quarterback, number two. And it seems to still be trending that direction. Are you buying it or are you selling it? Are the Texans going quarterback at 2, or is it take the best guy available and hope we get Caleb Williams next year?
I think they'd be stupid not to take a quarterback. I think they have to. They need some sort of momentum shift for fans in the organization. I think they got some new coaches in there fairly recently, and they'd be stupid not to. A QB is a big turning point for a franchise, and that's what they need right now. I think they should go QB, but I think you're right. Yeah, people are saying that they're going They might go defensively, and I think Tyree Wilson is like a guy I can see in a Texans jersey. Unfortunately, because that means I think it just tweaks out the rest of the draft. And then the Cardinals are like, oh man, now we need now we need Will Anderson. We can't trade back, kind of thing. So unfortunately, I think I can see them taking a defensive person, but I think they'd be stupid not to take a quarterback.
I think number one still goes Bryce Young. I'd like that preface before I dive into what I'm going to dive into because there's a lot of compelling arguments to why it could be Will Levis. Um, and I agree with your take on Texans. I like Tyree Wilson there as well. And these will kind of connect. Panthers have Frank Reich. If I say Colts at some point here, I'm sorry. I almost said Colts right there because I'm thinking Frank Reich, Colts. Panthers have Frank Reich now. Frank Reich, look at his quarterbacks, whether they were somewhere else and came in or whether it was Andrew Luck. He took big, strong, built guys with good decision making and limited their turnovers. Uh, Andrew Luck, big, built, strong quarterback, good IQ. Will Levis. That was an outlier. That's a once in a lifetime prospect in Andrew Luck. That's not a guy you look at and be like, well, if only we fix his interception problems. No, it was Andrew Luck's a guy who's going to win you games right away.
Now here's a guy.
Phillip Rivers, from the Chargers to the Colts, interception problems in Los Angeles, big quarterback, good arm, good decision making, good player in the locker room. Comes to the Colts, Frank Reich is his head coach, 6 less picks than he threw the year before. You go as recent as Matt Ryan, same thing. Good, strong, consistent quarterback in Atlanta, longtime presence in the league, built to last. Turnover problems late in Atlanta and probably early. I just didn't follow them close enough. Came to the Colts, had a career low interception total. Frank Reich as a head coach has taken quarterbacks that he can mold. That's why Anthony Richardson had some upside at first. Lot of abilities, room to build. Will Levis, he's got the size, he's got the strength. The question mark is, what did he really do in college? You look at the stat line. I don't know exactly what it was. I know Richardson's wasn't great. You're looking for these guys who had iffy college years, and then a head coach like Frank Reich can take those raw physical traits and then teach them to be a better, smarter passer. Bryce Young is the guy that comes out of the draft and wins you games right away. It's the pick you can take back to management and see, you understand why I made that pick, right? Even if it fails. It's a safe pick. It's probably the right pick. But there's something Frank Reich-esque about Will Levis. I still like Richardson as a dark horse, obviously, because I have money on it from way back when. But Frank Reich might be looking to get a guy who has the stuff and he can create around it. You can't build height. You can add on some muscle to a degree, but some body types just aren't built for it. These raw physical traits from birth you can't teach. Frank Reich is a quarterback guru, quarterback teacher. I think
So
he
you
gets a
like
guy
those
he can
odds.
mold. I do.
So
I
you
do.
like Will Levis.
I
So
like
you
plus
think
400. I
Bryce?
think it makes sense. But I think Bryce is the pick. I think he should be the pick.
Okay, let's say they go Levis. Now go into what you asked me. Do the Texans take Tyree, Will Anderson, Bryce Young? What happens there? Because then the whole draft is pretty much fucked from there.
So here's where it gets sticky at my number 2 for me, because I think the Texans are in love with Bryce Young. I think if Bryce Young falls to any team without a quarterback, they're going to take him without second guessing it. It's just going to come down to like individual head coach and front office being like, this is who we decide. There is no clear number 1 prospect in this draft. That's the problem. Everybody's going to have their own evaluations on these guys, and I'm not necessarily sure it's a net negative on anyone. I just think I think we can teach him this. That's what he's missing. So if the Colts go I did it. If the Panthers go Will Levis, I think the Texans are going to swipe up Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I think they're in love with him. That's, we didn't start hearing this non-quarterback talk until Bryce Young started getting mocked to number 1 again. Then the Texans were like, all right, yeah, maybe not Levis, maybe not Stroud, maybe not Richardson. Texans they don't have a coach who can teach quarterbacks. I'm not sure how great their offensive coordinator is. I don't know what their quarterback coach looks like. They're not built to develop a starter. So if Bryce Young falls to them, they take him. That being said, new head coach. Coming out of a rebuild with a high pick, you got to give him a couple years, hopefully, unless something really bad happens. But they're going to lean on this guy for the pick. Defensive guy. But they know they need a quarterback. They know Davis Mills isn't the guy. So they don't want to get too good. Not that one edge rusher can fix an entire team from 0 to hero. But you pick Tyree Wilson. Who cares what he does this year? Use the entire year to build him up. You go 0-17 anyways, and you get Caleb Williams next year. If they don't go Bryce Young, I think Tyree Wilson makes a bunch of sense because it gives them a project to work on and not worry about what happens this season, because the goal is to stink and get Caleb Williams next year, the surefire number 1. This is the guy. But if Bryce Young falls in their lap, I don't think they turn him down.
Me either. I think if it goes Will Levis, the Texans are like, all right, we're winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I think they're just rock hard.
I agree. I think Bryce Young's their guy. I could see Will Levis. It makes sense outside of just a Reddit post, but I'm making it make sense because you have to because of a Reddit post. If he was still plus 4,000, I probably wouldn't have even had to go through and read and listen to stuff about this. But I gathered facts after it because now it's a talking point, and I could see it. I could see it. I think it makes sense. And we'll jump into the uncomfortable topic since you already touched on it slightly. Um, 4 out of 5 players suspended for the Lions for gambling problems. Two of them, I believe, released immediately, and are the other two both facing 6 games? Train.
Yes.
What's your take first? I'll let you take the lead on this. JMO came out and said, "Yep, did it. Sorry, it was dumb. 6 games. It's a guy you didn't have all of last year, anyways. Does it change your draft board? Does it change your outlook on the season? Does it change your outlook on Jameson Williams?"
I think it changes the. Hmm. We got Amon Ra real like I think fourth round. So that's not like anything I would hate too much. Fourth, fifth round, where we find some sort of diamond in the rough, as we usually do or as we have done in the past. But C.J. Moore, Cephas, were not really big. They didn't really affect me too much. The Jamison Williams, 6 games is obviously better than the year, but we'd like to have him start and play a full season. I can't like defend him because they're obviously suspending him because they have evidence that he did it. Whether it's like
And
GPS,
he admitted to
and he
doing it
and he
too.
admitted
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
It was college games. I don't know if it was basketball or football or whatever it was. I think he deserves the suspension, but I think the NFL rules are pretty. I mean, like I said, when it first came out, I'm sure like they have in the facility we do not gamble or do not gamble or go home and gamble or don't do it here. Like that's why he was suspended because he did it at the facility. So it's on him. He can't do it, obviously. But I think the rules are pretty fucked up, right? So if and obviously like who am I to make NFL rules? But um, the NFL basically just doesn't want anyone to know that it's rigged. Is what it comes down to. So they can't have people betting in facilities or having that name associated with betting when guys are betting on it. So then it just looks really bad. So it's taken very seriously, and it makes sense. But the rule is really messed up because of different suspensions in the past. I'm sure you can think of a few where some assault or anything similar to that gets similar amounts of games. But the guy's betting on his phone. I mean, maybe even in the parking lot. I guess we haven't really confirmed or denied that if that's true. But let's say he's in his car after, doing something at the facility, and he bets on Bama to win by 64 points in the parking lot. Like I probably put a lot of money on it, but whatever. Um, I don't have anything wrong with that other than the fact that it got him a 6 game suspension. Now, I would have preferred if he did it on the way home or away from the parking lot, but I don't see anything wrong with it. I think they just need to update their rules a little bit. Just so, I mean, I get the suspension, but gambling, it, maybe a couple games.
I think
Two.
I think that's a good take, and I think you hit a lot of good points. Um, the tough part comparing those two, like if you look at the punishment compared to other gambling punishments, it's pretty in line. It's pretty black and white in the rule books. It's tough to compare it to some other suspensions, because they're so scattered. A lot of was accused of, it's settled out of court, stuff like this. A lot of it's not like, oh no, I mean,
I can
Ray
prove
Lewis
it.
played in the league, and he was like convicted of murder, or at least manslaughter or conspiring, and they let him keep playing. I get that there's some lesser punishments, but a lot of those are handed out on like, and again, it's, look at the legal system, look at the player agreements, all this stuff. When push comes to shove, the rule book is pretty cut and dry. You go on what the commissioner says on some other things. They've got committees, whatnot. Um, but they base a lot of that off of what happens in the legal system. When it comes to their own personal gambling policy, it's pretty black and white. I'm sure these guys are preached it throughout their rookie training camps and all the time, and every year they probably have new rules on it. But I do agree with you that there are dumb rules, and when you have dumb rules, it's your job to say something about them and get them changed. Until then, you need to. It's black and white. You can't do it at a team facility. I get that. But you're part of a union. You sign a players agreement every 4 years? Obviously, the last one was outdated. Even if it was signed a year ago, gambling laws have been changing monthly at this pace. Talk to your union rep. You've got a union rep. Say, hey, this is a little bullshit. We play in a facility with FanDuel advertisements all over the place. Like, can we do something about this? But at the same time, when you're at the facility, you're there to practice. You're a member of the NFL. You're a member of the Lions. I get that it's frustrating, but from an outsider point of view, it's like just wait until you're not at work to place the bet. And I get it. It's and you can lessen up the punishment. Again, you talk to your union rep. Guys are in the locker room and they're like, "Yo, should we be betting on this game tonight?" And it's like, "Yeah. All right, let's all get home and then play." I get it. That's tough. They're hanging out with their friends. So talk to your rep, get stuff in the guidelines. You have a union, you sign yearly agreements. Talk it out. A lot has changed. I bet the NFL would agree they're outdated with their rules. But you can wait. You can go home. You get
Or
paid
like
millions of dollars to do
like
this.
not even go home, but like someone put on Twitter was like, so if Jamo just left and went across the street to the gas station, made the bet, and came back with there was no suspension and everything was fine. And yeah, I think that is
Exactly.
correct. I think so. Like
And that's why I think 6 games is tough on paper, but I'm sure it was quick. There wasn't what's the suspension going to be. There was no appeal, whatever, which means
any
it
gambling
is
of any sorts or something
yeah,
on
it is what
premises.
it
Yeah.
is, and he probably knew that. His lawyers, Lions lawyers, and everything were probably like, there was no reason to even appeal it, which means it was cut and dry.
You're right.
It is what it is, and they were like, "Yep, you fucked it." So then you got to go in and update it if that's the case. But without an appeal or anything like that, you got to imagine it was just, yeah, it does suck. It's a dumb rule, but sorry, JMO, that's what it says right there. And he was probably like, "Yep, you're right." Lawyers were probably like, "Yep, you're right." There wasn't even grounds to try and appeal a lesser suspension. It probably said in the rule books, 6 games, cut and dry right there for any gambling on it.
If you're a Lions fan, and sorry, cut you off
No,
there.
it's okay.
If you're
I
a
was done.
Lions fan, and I'm pretty sure he showed up to like some sort of event, maybe UFC or something, but he was in Vegas shortly after this all came out. Um, we all know Comp's take, but what's your take for him being on this team? Do you think we bought him high? We traded up to get him at 12 last year. He barely played last year. Got a couple looks, but at what point was
My
he
hat.
not worth it?
You're good. All right. It's a lot of people bring up or might want to bring up character flaws, this and that. But again, I'll go back to what we were just talking about. He could have walked across the street and placed the bet at McDonald's and we wouldn't even know about it. We gamble daily. We're humans. We go to Vegas. It's probably even more fun when you've got NFL money. And you're suspended from team. I mean, he can't. It's not like, oh, you should go sit at the sidelines, watch the team, be involved. It's just he can't be there. and he's just going. He didn't do any wrong gambling. He just did it in the wrong place. If it was like, JMO threw a game last season, and then now he's in Vegas doing this after the suspension, then it's like, okay, he's not taking this seriously. I think this is a hard thing to take seriously, so fuck it. It'd probably be the first thing if I got suspended from work with pay. I'd be like, hey, fuck it, let's go to Vegas. I don't know. It's I don't think he did enough wrong to have to be like, oh, got to tiptoe around, can't be seen. He placed a bet, whatever. We all do it. So then he gets suspended, can't be on the facility. Sure, you can go work out, but he's probably tired of that. Took a little vacation. Why not? Got 6 games to figure it out. I got no problem with it.
You want to jump over to Jags or Aaron Rodgers?
We can touch on Jags quick. I don't have a ton, obviously. Not a lot of action happening. Now talk's picking up on post-draft. We'll go out and get a veteran because we still have cap space that we're sitting on. 24 has been a wild ride so far. I've seen a lot of mocks getting us Brian Brees. If Brian Brees goes to the Jags and we're on the airplane, I'm going to be really upset for a lot of the people in the airplane. I'll be a little upset, but Reen's going to scream if that happens. Peter Schrager recently came out and said that if Bijan's there at 24, the Jags are going to take him. Best player available type of thing. They did it with Etienne after they got Trevor Lawrence. James Robinson was a 1,000-yard rusher. He was saying if Bijan's there at 24, add the power to your backfield. Maybe. I don't know. I would like to go offensive line. I would like to protect my quarterback. That can shift because if someone starts slipping, I might be like, oh, okay, well, maybe like if he's still there, we should probably think about that. As it lands right now, I'd like Anton Harrison. I think he's versatile. We need a right tackle. Walker Little's proven he can move anywhere on the line. Unfortunately,
similar to our mock draft.
Yeah.
You'd still okay.
You got it.
I didn't know if anything switched since then, or I know Brian Breesy is kind of a different thing, maybe than last time, or has that been kind of consistent with mocks that you've seen?
Kind of consistent. We're all over the place. They just know Bulky wants 5-star pedigrees, long arms, good physical traits. He doesn't care how raw they are, which is frustrating a lot because raw means you got to depend on player development, and that hasn't been proven for us yet. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. AFC gets stacked with quarterbacks, even more so. Who do you think won the trade, Trent?
I think it's an even trade, and it hurts me to say this. If I had to pick a team that won, the Packers. They weren't going to play him, so he was either retiring or they were going to get something for him. So that was best case scenario. I mean, I think they could have got, or I think I was imagining maybe a little bit more in my head. They switched and got moved up 2 spots in this draft in the first round, and also got a second rounder, pretty early in the second round. However, the big thing is if Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps this next season,
which he should.
Yes, barring injury or anything like that, he will. So I think it's maybe what they were arguing about, and what was taking so long is this conditional pick. They were kind of going back and forth and like, no, we need a first round. They're like, no, we don't want to give you next year's first round because, if he does play 65% of the snaps, that first round pick is likely not going to be that great. It's going to, any first round pick is good, but it's going to be pretty late. Is what I'm thinking. I think the Packers won. I think it's insane, the AFC, how many quarterbacks they have now. I'll take him out of our division, and it would be a little funny if the Packers draft the tight end, right?
They're definitely going offense in the first round.
Right. I bet them to take a wide receiver. Like I said, I think it'd be really funny if the 1 year he leaves, they go and actually get a receiver.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I bet on it. And I bet it on it at like really good odds, and it's been going down like every single day. So I think I got it at like 290. I think it's at like 170. So um, that or I think wide receiver or a tight end is happening.
Are you threatened by Jordan Love at all? Worried? Concerned?
No, not really. I wouldn't say so, but I'm concerned with the Packers' past more so than Jordan Love because of how lucky they've gotten
And we know
in
we know
recent
nothing
years.
about him other than he's been like a little rough in a couple games, couple seasons ago, and then he did decent in his appearances this year. So you're like, he's probably mediocre. But like when Brett Favre left the Packers and I was a kid, I was like, oh, thank God, get that man
Right.
out of my division. I don't know who this Aaron Rodgers guy is. I was young. I'm sure he was a good prospect and everything at the time, but then Aaron Rodgers just came in and was an All Pro and MVP. Like, and I was like, what are we? How did this? How did? Meanwhile, I had watched the Lions bounce through like 10 quarterbacks until they got to Stafford. So then there's just there's this part of you that's like, oh, of course he's going to be an all-time great. He's been behind Aaron Rodgers for 2-3 years now, learning the playbook. He's going to slide right in like nothing happened. They're going to draft a receiver who's going to be the next Greg Jennings or Devontae Adams, and then it's just going to continue.
Michael. Yeah, that's what I'm most afraid of. Not really Jordan Love at all, because every time he has played, he really hasn't played that well. Um, I think he played against like the Chiefs a couple of years ago, and it was just brutal. Um, the Jets are definitely a team I would be scared of for Justin as a Bills fan, and the AFC, just because I think they were only a quarterback away, and now they still have that 15th pick. I think they go and get an offensive lineman, Darnell Wright, if he's still there, from Tennessee, and that I mean they protect their old man they just bought basically. So that's what I see happening. I think it's going to be a wild AFC, but I love having him out of the NFC.
So you think the Jets are a legit threat in the AFC?
Yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, there's something wrong. I don't know when the last time they made the playoffs. It's been a long time. It might be the longest NFL drought,
It's
but
been a minute, yeah.
I would be shocked if they don't. If they don't make the playoffs, maybe he doesn't play at least 65% of those snaps.
Speaking of playoffs, NBA playoffs. I think I watched maybe 5 minutes of NBA basketball all regular season. I've had a couple of these games on in the background, and I've been following a little bit. And it's weird because NBA culture has been yearning for this parity in basketball. Everyone's like, it's just, of course, it's the super teams. And now Bucks are down 3-1 to the Heat. Lakers are beating the 2 seed Grizzlies. I know it's LeBron and AD and this and that. They're more so the 2 seed in that. But there's competitions. There's fights. The Heat are beating the Bucks. Jimmy Butler looks awesome. He's a single superstar surrounded by good role players. You got Bam Adebayo, you got Tyler Hero, but they're not guys. They're role players. They're twos and threes on teams that win championships. And now I'm seeing NBA Twitter being upset that favorites are losing and there's no domination in the playoffs right now. They're like, this is embarrassing. How are the Heat beating the Bucks? How are the Kings being competitive with the Warriors? We're finally seeing a little bit of fun basketball. I know Giannis has been dealing with some injuries. De'Aaron Fox just had a contusion in his left finger, somewhere on that hand. John Morant's been out a couple games for the Grizzlies. But it's been a little bit fun. I haven't really been watching games too much, besides background noise. But I've been following storylines a little bit more. Heat up 3-1 on the Bucks train. Do you think the Heat can close out this series?
Yes, but don't take your eyes off the Bucks. Okay. Um, 3-1, and they could come back. I think Jimmy buckets had an all-time performance in the playoffs. I think he tied for the fourth amount of points in playoff history, which is just incredible. It's in the first. If this was happening, if this happened, this game happened in the finals, this would be like the greatest finals game ever, basically.
Most points in a playoff game by a Heat player ever.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, with LeBron and D Wade being there, that's kind of crazy. Um, Giannis gets a triple double. Brooke Lopez randomly drops 36 points, and Jimmy buckets and company takes down the Bucks. But the Bucks were my team going into the season, at halfway through the season. Um, but I still would. I think it would be fun to watch the number one team basically all season go down first round. It would just make things more fun, like you said. The Lakers, um, and Big Cat said this today. He said, "I hate Bron, but Dylan Brooks makes me like Bron." And I figured, I don't know if you could say you like Bron, but I wanted to get your take on that. The Dylan Brooks beef with Bron. I know Reen was like immediately, I need to bet Bron getting 40 plus.
I do hate LeBron. Not as a person. I respect his game. I respect him as a human. But in terms of just like this NBA personality he has, I can't stand it. But Dylan Brooks makes me like you said, I don't know if I can say I like him, but it just makes me be like, oh, just leave LeBron alone. Guy's like a 40-year-old superstar, still doing the most on his team. And you're Dylan Brooks, man. It's like, just take it. He dropped 30 on you, and you're like, yeah, we won that game because I held up Bron. It's like, I mean, did you? If you hold Bron to 12 on bad shooting percentage, like if you hold Bron to 12 but he's got 10 and 10 on you too, I'd still keep your mouth shut. It's not worth it. And you can't, even Bron didn't come out and be like, I'm going to show him how he can't lock me up. LeBron was just like, I mean, it is what it is. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've heard shit talking. Like, I'm going to go out there and just play my game and we're going to win. And they did. LeBron just had that veteran presence, and Dylan Brooks had this tough kid, 21-year-old playing the old Grizzle vet. And you see that translate into the entire Grizzly team. It's this aura that emanates off of Ja Morant a little bit, and everybody on the team starts acting like they're superstar. Everyone's got this little Ja Morant in them because that's, whether they realize it or not, that's who they're looking to. The Grizzlies are Ja Morant in the media. So if you're a Grizzly, then you have to be Ja Morant. That's what goes on in their heads. So you got the younger, less experienced, maybe more talented side against a team with two veterans, if you count Bron and Anthony Davis, with this calm veteran presence. Austin Reeves isn't going out calling people out. The media's hyping him up more than he's hyping himself up. Roy Hachimura, quiet, reserved, goes out there and plays good basketball. Vanderbilt, good defensive guy, quiet, does what he's told. Even though the Lakers have a young bench, they're calm, collected, and playing with confidence because that's what LeBron exudes, and that's what his team absorbs and follows with. Ja Morant has played the Grizzlies team with a little bit of childishness, and it's spreading to other players. And I think Dylan Brooks was a little childish. What else are you going to do? I mean, you got to try. I'd probably do the same thing if I was in his situation. But you can't do it to LeBron, not after this long. If it was like Bron's like first year as an all-star at like age 28 and he's in his like prime, maybe we can talk about you saying, yeah, I held up Bron. But at this point, you keep your mouth shut and you guard Bron, and you talk to your coach later. If you need to hear yourself say it, say, Coach, I think I did a good job guarding LeBron tonight. and he'll say next time keep him under 30 and we'll talk.
So Braun gets a game-winning layup basically. Anthony Davis with a block in regulation to send it to overtime when Braun gets this layup on Dylan Brooks. Kind of just dude, just shut up. And then John Morant and Dylan Brooks did not go and talk to the media after the game. But I think we've talked a lot of Lakers, a lot of Braun. Let's go to Ice Trey, who also hit a buzzer beater last night. I actually watched this game. I had it on while we were playing the show, and the Celtics were winning the entire game. Uh, it was like 8-13 points the whole time. I think the Hawks actually won the first quarter, but ever since then it's kind of between like 8 and 10 points. And then Trey just decides to turn it up. Dude, I got kind of pumped up for NBA basketball. I couldn't even like not watch it. Like I couldn't go on TikTok or go on my phone or go on Twitter and look at something else or turn it to a different game. I had to watch it. So I think Trey Young is good for the NBA, especially when he plays like this, dude. And I mean, he made that shot, dude, and he turned around like no expression on his face, and was just like, "Ice Trey, dude."
Do the Celtics hold them off and win the series?
Yes. Yeah, they can. Yeah, it's just too much. They're too much. I mean, I think Jason Tatum went like 1 for 10 from 3-pointer, and they lost by 2 off of a buzzer beater, basically. So
Nuggets beat the Timberwolves. Jokic, Jamal Murray, a team that's dealt with injury problems. Can the Nuggets make a long run in the West? Are they the team that's going to come out?
I feel like this is the same Nuggets team every single year. Um, Only Jamal Murray is healthy right now, which scares me. That's why I put that on there. It's usually like really late in the season. I think typically is where one of their big guys goes down. Big guys being a main player, but I think they can be a contender in the West, and if they stay healthy, and it just never happens. So I think they can. They took care of business. The Joker is a menace, triple double, and then Jamal Murray. It's just the weirdest duo, I think, with Jamal Murray and Jokic, but it works, and they win games. Won the series 4-1. What do you think?
I think the Nuggets are good. Yes. I think the Suns are going to come out of the West. They just beat the Clippers. I think the Clippers played a good series, even though it was 4-1. I just think the Suns are that good. I think Kevin Durant's going to win another title this season. That's what I think. I think the Suns are legit. I think anyone with Kevin Durant without distractions on his team is legit.
Yeah, I mean, him and D Book just combined for 78 points. Pretty hard to say that it won't happen, especially against the Clippers with
Lockdown defenders.
Superstars.
And they're superstars because of their defense. I mean, they're good shooters and good. They're good ball players, but they're known for their defense. And the Suns beat them 4-1. I don't know who's.
I
gonna
heard
stop
you
them.
almost say it. You said Kawhi didn't play. Kind of wanted to get into it.
No,
It
I
always
was going to
seems
say
like...
Kawhi couldn't shoot, but he
Oh,
can.
okay.
He can.
Oh, okay. Kawhi didn't play though yesterday, with his sister going away for murder, for something back in 2019. But I don't think that had anything to do with him not playing. I think it was just his knees. And the man actually is injured. So a big topic yesterday or the day before was Kawhi actually hurt, or was it just 3-1 and the Suns were at home and he didn't want to play? What's your take on it?
I mean, he kind of did the same thing with the Spurs, you know? That's kind of how it pretty much invented these rest days in the NBA that we have now. You know, the Spurs were like, all right, you're good to play. And he's like, nah, I'm not. Because the Spurs were bad. He didn't want to play. And Zion Williamson cleared by team doctors. And it's like, you want to play? Nah, I'm not good to play, actually. I'm not 100%. I'm not. But I get it. These guys have a lot of money riding on their limbs. And once those go, I mean, that's, it's jobs after that. It's either endorsements or broadcasting. I'm sure there's some outliers there when you're a superstar like that. It's just kind of, bouncing around being you. But got to protect yourself. Got to get yourself to contract years. Got to play when it matters. So you're down three, down 3-1. Am I going to go out there and guard Kevin Durant with bad knees? Not 100%. Absolutely not.
Fair enough.
Into a sport where players aren't pussies, though, NHL playoffs. Been really fun so far. You've got money on the Rangers to win. That's the first game we got in the bracket. Where are you at with that? You confident?
They led the series 2-0. Um, have now gone to 2-2. We were watching the game in East Lansing. Green was not a fan of how that ended up on Saturday.
Facts.
It's
Facts.
kind of scary. It's kind of scary. You're in this position, which I mean, I have money on it, but it's not like the end of the world. They're not my favorite team or anything like that. But if this were my team, I like the Red Wings, let's say, I'd be like, well, shit, we were up 2-0, now it's 2-2, and they have all the momentum. Like, I thought we were kind of strolling into the second round. So, hockey analysis, there's none. There's none at all. There won't be any for any of these. But I think for if you're a Rangers fan, you're scared, and you should be.
All my hockey knowledge is Red Wings invested. And I
Right.
know the sport a little bit, but not enough to really talk about it. But I know a good game when I see it. Maple Leafs Lightning on Monday night was phenomenal. I watched it up until overtime. I went to bed, and then Ring came out and was like, "What?" I'm like, "You missed a phenomenal game." 4-1 with like,
Can you do that again? What did he do?
um, did I miss anything? 4-1 with like 10 minutes left in the game, and the Maple Leafs just went bang, bang, bang. Overtime gets the game winner. Incredible to be down 4-1 and then in 10 minutes swing and win in overtime. Incredible ending to that game. Golden Knights beat the Jets. Knights lead the series 3-1. They probably take that. Avalanche Kraken, great series right now, 2-2. The only thing I know on that is Avalanche won Stanley Cup last year, so I'm going to take them to close out that series and win it. Tuesday night, Islanders beat the Canes 3-2. Canes lead the series 3-2. One of them that's starting to shape up to a potential game 7 coming up. It's electric because you get to see the barstool feeds from inside the Borelli restaurant. Also, normally comes with some good Stu Finer footage. Minnesota Wild and Dallas Stars. Stars won 4-0. That series is Stars up 3-2. I don't really have a ton on that one either. I'm not a big fan of the Stars, honestly, and the Minnesota Wild can suck my balls. So it's like, honestly, I'd hope they both lose, but that decision can't happen. And then the team I really cared about talking about, because it's the only other team I know anything about, Oilers win 6-3, looking dominating as ever. Series is 3-2 right now. Ham had the over. Obviously, that hit with 12 goals. Did you end up betting on the money line with Ham on that game? You said you were going with the Oilers.
Yeah, yeah. So I bet the three-way so that the Oilers would win in regulation, and I was like, man, I'm thinking they win 3-1. So I turn it on. I'm watching the game. Hammy's like, I got the over. I was like, well, okay. And dude, they just keep scoring and scoring and scoring. At one point in the first period, it was 3-1, and I was like, all right, nothing for the rest of the game. And then it just kept happening, dude. 9 goals. I think he said 12. Just want to make sure we got that correct. Um,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
12 would be a
we got,
lot.
uh, they were on pace for like 15 at one point. So
That's what I meant. Yeah,
pretty much, yeah, 15. But let's go. Let's stay loyal. Um,
loyal to the oil.
yeah, let's do it.
I
Let's
just
get into
you got to bet with Connor McDavid. You know, it's just
yeah. You
safe.
have to.
Draisaitl, come on. Into MLB. Great stuff happening around the league. Really fun year for the MLB so far. Tigers, although it's been a rough start, the bats aren't seemingly there. Bullpen's been phenomenal. All that means is we might waste another year of Chris Fetter before he gets signed to a team that he can actually have a good time coaching. Chris Castellini pointed out on his Twitter, Tigers are 1-11 against AL East opponents. They're 7-3 against the rest. That's to date. I added today's game and yesterday's game. 70% winning percentage outside of the AL East.
Why? That doesn't even make any sense.
Number one, AL East is phenomenal. You know,
1-11 though.
yeah, Orioles, Red Sox, Blue Jays. It's what Yankees are in that division. It's a frustrating division, but every other team we played 7-3, 70% win percentage. We had a tough schedule to start. So the fact that we're not scraping the bottom of the barrel right now is a little bit exciting. We knew it was going to be a rough start to the schedule. We knew it was going to be frustrating. We knew we weren't going to be great. And we're doing kind of what we knew, but a little bit better. People didn't expect us to win this much this early. So when the schedule flips, it's a team that could get hot and get hot quick. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket right now, but it's definitely a possibility. Around the league, Tampa Bay Rays have been flaming hot. Wander Franco, phenomenal catch the other night after Cole told me to review the video footage. They're playing some of the best baseball we've seen in a while. Had a great start to the season. And the Braves are doing great. So, I mean, that's good, but we've been in a slump lately. But we can turn it around. I can talk more baseball if you have questions.
I pulled Shohei.
You did pull.
Um,
You did pull Shohei Ohtani. Last night it came up out of the blue. Reem was like upset. He's like, I can't believe he pulled Shohei. I haven't pulled shit. I haven't pulled shit either since DeGrom. I pulled DeGrom. That was it. Reem's gotten
Big pull.
well. Reem's gotten Kettle twice. So that's and he got Roki in that 99 Trout pack. I've gotten so many of those and never gotten the rare round. But yeah, Shohei's hype. The show's been hype so far.
We could talk if
A lot
the
more
Wander
content this
Franco
weekend.
if the Wander Franco catch was better than yours.
Yes, and we did discuss it briefly in the party last night, and it was a great catch. But I've seen it before, right? He had his glove on his left hand, and he was chasing a ball, and he's like, "Oh no, I overran it. I overran the ball. I made a mistake, and I ran too far, or maybe the wind blew it back. I don't know, but I made a mistake. I got to reach back this way." With my off glove hand because I can't extend. And then he just grabbed it with one hand standing up on 2 feet. Which is a good catch. Bare hand baseball, not easy, tough. But don't overrun the ball and catch it with your glove. My catch was a little bloop behind third base, close to foul territory even. And as I turn to chase this, I'm facing the outfield, breaking off to my left, so towards the foul line. And it's kind of deep, kind of going northwest. And I take a little stumble on the lip going into the outfield because I know my left fielder's not going to get to this baseball because it's comp. So
Schlump.
I'm like, I got to get this because Schlump's probably just figuring out what's going on with his shades on and shady rays in left field. So I'm sprinting after this thing. I tumble. I get to my feet, and I'm going northwest. So my right hand, my bare hand's facing towards the foul line.
Northwest, he says.
But I reach my glove first to try and get a glove reach over there and maybe dive, but my arm can't extend far enough. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to bare hand this. I got more extension that way. I'm not coming across my body. And I dive, Superman dive, and bare hand catch this softball. Everything I could have done to make that play, I had to do to make it. Wander Franco made a mistake, and he stayed on his feet. A diving, barehanded, one-handed catch. Didn't get the guy at third because it was a bad throw, but he had to come back and tag up.
If you're listening on Spotify, that made no sense at all.
That's why I was using the directions.
No. But if you watch it on YouTube, it also won't make any sense at all. But he did his best. He had to be there.
The home plate umpire stopped the game, walked out to the shortstop position, and announced that was the greatest catch I've ever seen.
But the ump didn't do that for Wander.
Ump did not do that for Wander, and also Schlomp normally backs me up on this catch too because he had front row seats in left field. He'll tell you just how great it was. How great am I? But yeah, it was phenomenal. Wander's catch wasn't as good as mine, but it's still a good catch.
That was the exact segment I wanted. I wanted us to talk Wander, and I wanted you to go through it as if you're telling that story for the first time.
I thought I did a decent job. I'm just thinking, if you're looking at the wall and you consider the wall north, I was going northwest. It's like you're facing the outfield, you're breaking towards the foul line. If
you were shortstop,
I was shortstop. I'm looking at my left fielder, and I'm breaking to my left towards the foul line.
Right.
And the ball was flying northwest, and it was too far. I had to.
Why not use the glove?
Because, look, I'm losing this much length here. I'm losing my shoulder width and arm length. Look how much further I can extend with this arm when I'm going that way than when I'm going this way. You see?
Right. Yeah.
See how I get like an extra foot there.
See, this is why you got to watch it on YouTube.
Or if you
can see things.
When you're reaching across your body, I'm losing almost my hands at my shoulder. If I go this way, I got my whole arm. I'm gaining that. I tried the glove. I reached. If we had video, if there was video of this, it would have been on ESPN. If we sent it into SportsCenter, it would have been in the top 10. Guaranteed. No doubt in my mind. Trey, do you have any faith in the Tigers? Have you given up?
Oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, I don't know if I had faith going into the season like you did. So I think they got to kind of bring that back. They went on a win streak earlier. No,
we're good. We're good. We're solid. We're rock solid.
They went on a win streak a little bit and gave me a little bit of hope. They like to go into extras every game. They like walk-offs for some reason. So that's a little fun. But yeah, I mean, doing better than I anticipated, and we did have a tough schedule, so maybe I'll warm up to them as the season progresses.
Love to see it. Let's jump over into Wager Wheel. There's a brief technical difficulty, but other than that, we're good. We're good to go. No technical difficulties this time around. Bach win last week. Train lost last week. We're both at 4-4 records now. I'm just now remembering that when I do this next click to make the wheel happen, that's when the technical difficulties are going to happen, I believe. So let's see. Yep, it happened. Okay. Oh, we're good to go again. Interesting. All right. I don't really know what I've got on this wheel. I haven't updated it in a bit, so it'll land on something, and hopefully we can make a bet with it. Train, you're up first. Here we go. It's not even called Masters. It's just called Golf. Oh, Train, you got a free pick.
Oh, let's go.
You get to place any bet you want.
That's so fun.
Oh, I should have had NFL draft on here.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Don't worry about it.
All right. If it lands on free pick for me, I'll do draft too.
Actually, I don't know if I'm going to because I already have so many. Can I send out a bet that I have?
Interesting, interesting. So it maybe it's been a while since I've updated this, or it didn't
Sure.
save the last time. Um, Interesting. I've got NCAA basketball underdog money line. Um,
That's gonna work.
so let's just
Um,
give this another spin, and we'll
yeah.
spin until it lands on something that makes sense, and then I will have to make sure to reevaluate the wheel in coming weeks. That I can work with. I can work with an NBA under.
Oh, NBA under. Okay.
NBA
Uh,
under. So we got
just so
NBA
you know,
under and a free pick from Train.
Will Levis is at plus 800 now for the number one
Oh, he's
draft.
slipping.
Yeah. So I will.
There's only one game on Thursday. I guess I can pick whenever, huh? All these games aren't necessarily going to happen. The only game that is guaranteed to happen that's not tonight is tomorrow. So, I suppose I will take the under on Celtics Hawks tomorrow. That's my bet.
There's so many bets to choose from.
Oh, you're still looking?
Yeah. I think Osiris Torrance g- goes in the first round. That bet is available to be made in DraftKings.
What are the
Um,
odds on that?
they're not too juicy. They are minus 175,
Oh, that's
but they're
not
not.
bad.
Yeah, yeah, it's not bad. I didn't know like how long I could go with a free pick. I'm not betting a minus 400 just so that the record stays alive. Well, decent,
What
but
basketball
I
game did
like
I
it.
bet on?
Hawks Celtics maybe
Yeah.
under.
Hawks Celtics under. Osiris Torrance to go in the first round. Train, any closing thoughts? Anything to say before the draft happens tomorrow? You're at 6-18. This is your chance to let it out.
Lions fans who listen to this, which is probably most people. Actually, you know what? Maybe not. But whatever Brad does, just trust it. I think we're gonna be moving back one of our picks. But if he does something and you don't like it right away, think about it. And yeah, other than that, Bach, we gained a subscriber. So whatever we did two
Nice.
weeks ago, it
Nice,
worked.
nice, nice. Let's go for 17 next time. If you're
One at a
listening and you're
time.
not subscribed, go subscribe.
Make a new account. No, I'm just kidding.
You don't have to make accounts. Tell a friend. Just ask to borrow someone's phone, and then when they say you got to make a phone call, and then just go onto YouTube, subscribe to Always Boolin, and then make a fake phone call, and then give it back to them.
That's genius.
Let's aim for 17. Big NFL draft this weekend. We'll have a post NFL draft special next week. I imagine we get Nara on for that. Reunite the original Jucks. Until then, suit up for the draft. Enjoy the draft weekend. Should be nice. We'll see y'all on Tuesday. If you're on YouTube, always Boolin. Drop a like. Hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to us on Spotify, drop a rating. Hit the follow button. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming back. We'll see everybody on Tuesday. And always, as always, fist it, boys.